Hey, thanks for checking out Tactical Unboxings and Reviews. Today I'm looking at my BRN-180 Gen 2 and my SIG Spear LT conversion kit build. So these are both great piston-driven operating systems, kind of derived from the AR-18, and they both don't need a buffer tube in the back. So you're able to add folding stocks to them. So they share that in common. So I think these are pretty comparable on the market that people would be trying to decide between these two rifles. They're both 16-inch models. Gen 2 upper here. So this is the new Spear LT upper. This is part of their conversion kit, build kit that you can get on their website. So then this pairs with a regular AR-15 lower, and then you just add the adapter plate on the back of the AR-15 lower that holds in kind of the recoil system of the rifle of the upper, and then gives you that Picatinny on the rear. Over here on the BRN-180, I'm using Brownells kind of AR-18 style lower, AR-180 style lower. So it's got the styling, it's got of a AR-180 or AR-18, and that comes with the Picatinny rail just built right into it. They both take regular AR-15 accessories and parts. So this was built out with the Daniel Defense lower parts kit with the ambi safety, the Daniel Defense bolt catch, bolt release, the trigger, and so all that came from there. The grip, so it fits any grip that doesn't have a trigger guard built into it, and it doesn't fit all of the grips that have a really high tang. So you can see on this lower. Now this would pair with a regular AR-15 lower as well, but for this specific lower, it's got a pretty tight L here, and so you need more of your A1 or A2 style pistol grip, and not one that has a larger kind of beaver tail built into it. And so you can see on this SIG pistol grip, it's got this big kind of section to interface with the web of your hand, and that would not fit on this AR-180 lower. But like I said, you could use a regular AR-15 lower there. But yeah, the triggers and all the different small parts, AR-15 parts work here, AR-15 parts work here as well, because this is just a regular AR-15 lower with this just adapter hooked onto the buffer tube. Otherwise, they have proprietary systems going forward. So the barrels and the way they lock up, the piston system are specific for each model. And for the folding braces, just anything that hooks to Picatinny, that works. The SIG Spear LT has a more traditional style charging handle. So it's got this T handle that you grab from the rear. So that's just like your regular AR-15. It's got a AR-15 dust cover here as well. And so as you pull back the handle, that pops open. It's got a regular, traditional style, I should say. Forward assist and serrations on its bolt. So that is pretty similar to an AR-15. So let's look over here on the BRN-180. So this is the Gen 2 upper. It just came out with the Gen 3, and that kind of switches things around quite a bit. But on the Gen 2 upper, it's got this dog leg charging handle riding in the bolt. And so this is really similar to the AR-18. And it's got this polymer dust cover that's styled after the AR-18 dust cover as well. When you pull back, that triggers the dust cover to pop open, and you use this reciprocating charging handle to charge the weapon. So every time you fire, this charging handle is going to come back. You reciprocate, so you got to keep your hands away from that section. You can also replace these with a few different aftermarket charging handles. There's a straight one instead of the dog leg one, but the dog leg one looks cool because it's very similar to an AR-18 or AR-180. The AR-180 is the semi-auto version of the AR-18. So that is a big difference there, where the T handle is obviously not reciprocating and much more like an AR-15. So let's take a closer look then inside. They both use 2 push pins to remove them. And that is kind of a feature of the the BRN-180, is that there's nothing that actually retains the spring and the guide rods. So they went launching across the room. There's 2 guide rods, and the bolt carrier rides over these guide rods, and then they just kind of hook into this polymer end plate, and that's just held in by the back of the lower. So there's nothing that's keeping that in, so that's why it just shot out. Then we can pull out the rest of the guts here. There's a keyway here when you get to the rear to pull out that dogleg charging handle. That comes out, and then that gives you the bolt carrier group and the bolt. There's a cotter pin there. Pull that out, drop the firing pin out, and then remove the bolt. And this is a spring-loaded bolt. There's 2 holes there that basically these 2 guide rods go in that hole, and that's how the action works. And so with that, so you can see how when you have that charging handle in that bolt carrier group, that reciprocates. The SIG, so we'll pop that rear pin, tilt it forward, so it doesn't just come shooting out right away. You can pull on the charging handle to release it, and drops down. Pull that charging handle out as well. Very similar setup here. We'll get a little bit of a closer look here in a second, but it's got these 2 guide rods. So let's compare that. So kind of see 2 guide rods, and on the BRN-180, the actual bolt carrier group just rides right on the guide rods. On the SIG, there's basically kind of like this sled, and this sled has this rounded section here that slips in to a rounded cut in the bolt carrier group, as the bolt carrier group slide along these springs. So these springs feel a lot stiffer than the BRN-180 springs, and when you actually fire them, I would say that the Spear LT is quite a bit lighter shooting. The BRN-180 is a little snappy, and I thought that the Spear LT was very pleasant. I just shot it on regular gas setting. It also has adverse that you can set it to, so I just shot it on the normal gas setting, and that worked perfectly fine. Here we got the parts for the BRN-180. We'll just kind of run through those one more time. So we got the 2 recoil guide rods with the springs on there. Those go into a polymer base plate. This is just pinned in to the upper through compression with the lower. So when you open it up, this has a tendency to go flying off unless you stick your thumb on it, which I had forgotten to do. Here we've got our cotter pin that you'd pop out if you wanted to be able to take, let's do it. Take the firing pin out, and it's got a spring-loaded bolt here, so I just leave that for now. The cotter pin back through, so it's not gonna fall out. On this side, here's a little notch that the dogleg charging handle interacts with, and that's a pretty loose fit in there, which is correct for a AR-180. So that makes sense that they replicated that in the BRN-180. This is, I don't think, is an interchangeable piece, but is stylized and has the exact same feel as AR-180. So you can see that's a pretty easy to compress those springs. In my opinion, this is a little punchier shooting, the BRN-180 Gen 2, a little punchier shooting than the SIG. Let's take a closer look at the SIG. So when you pull that out of your upper, you basically will have this bolt carrier group locked into the recoil system, and the charging handle sits over there, sits on top of this little ledge here. It's got its own little ledge to interface with that, and that is what can pull. That's how you charge the weapon. So regular, it's not interchangeable with mil-spec charging handles because of this whole interface is quite a bit different, but it's the same concept and works the same as a regular T-handle. So here we also have these two guide rods and recoil springs, and these are much beefier springs. It takes a lot more force to compress them, and instead of going right through the bolt carrier group, it's kind of split up into two sections. So there's the sled, and I think you can disassemble this even more. I'm not really going to take it apart more than this. This seems like about as far as you would generally need to take it apart. Here's your bolt and your carrier. So this looks quite a bit like a regular AR-15 bolt carrier group. It's got a little spring-loaded piece of metal in there to retain the firing pin, and it is not a spring-loaded bolt. So that just stays in there. This one, spring-loaded. So if you're gonna put this back in the rifle, you have to take out the charging handle. Let's actually do it. Let's throw it in the rifle. Putting them back together is fairly simple as well. So let's start with the BRN-180. So bring that back into frame here. Yeah, you can see that empty section there, where that end plate will go. So we open up the rifle. We're going to put the bolt carrier group in. We're gonna push that forward until that little notch for the charging handle goes right into that hole. We're gonna line up that key there for the charging handle and drop that down. Let's see. Just takes a little bit of wiggling, but then you got the charging handle back in there. And then you just wanna make sure you put these in the right direction so that notch goes at the bottom. And then you'll get that lined up into the bolt carrier group, so you can see how that just is a friction fit. That's why it just will basically pop out. But you get that pushed in, get it past your lower, pins in, check for function. So back to good to go. Pretty simple. So you can see this isn't missing a big section in the back when you don't have the guts in there. It's just missing the T-handle. So just like a regular AR-15, you're gonna take the little key on the T-handle, run that into your upper until it locks into that top channel. You're gonna wanna put your bolt back on the sled, and then that just locks in there when you slide that through. And so the springs kind of ride in that channel there. And then the charging handle's holding that in from shooting out the back. So that's not, the guts aren't gonna come flying out. So that is nice. Get the rear takedown pin back in, charge it, make sure everything's looking good. Works like a charm. So there you go. That's kind of the disassembly and reassembly of the SIG Spear LT. You can take a little bit of a closer look at it overall. So it's got a whole different handguard setup. For the gas adjustment, there's this little lever in here that you can just use your fingers or a bullet tip to adjust. It's just got, it's written right here on the side. So for less gas, you turn it towards the left, and for more gas, you turn it towards the right. So if you need a more adverse conditions, turn towards the right. Otherwise, leave it towards the left for just standard operating. It's got that T-handle. It's got a folding stock. It's got just a Picatinny rail back here so you can hook up any other stock to it. Forward assist, AR-15 style dust cover. And then this is just a regular AR-15 lower. So this is the CMMG zeroed mag release button. The SIG Spear grip, SIG Ambi SIG AMB safety, SIG AMB mag release, SIG bolt catch, and the trigger is the Schmid 2-stage. And that was a great deal on bowtack.com. It's like 50 something dollars. That is the SIG Spear LT BRN-180. They're definitely both very cool. BRN-180 I'd say is a little lighter. Let's see. I'd say they're pretty comparable in terms of weight, actually. Pretty much. This feels pretty front heavy. I guess that's where all of the gas system is out there, pretty near the end of the muzzle. This feels a little bit better balanced, and the gas system is right above your hand there instead of so far out at the end of the muzzle. So that might be kind of what I'm seeing there. And I think with this brace setup on the back, it's definitely heavier than the stock on the AR-180. But thanks for checking it out. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. It really helps me out and I appreciate it. Well, thanks for watching. Take care.